Welcome to Threads of Sustainability. I'm your host, Bridget O'Flaherty. With climate change and environmental impacts becoming a common narrative in our daily lives, it seems like a great time to explore what sustainability looks like in the quilting, fibre, and textile world. We'll hear from creatives, makers, manufacturers, and producers from all over the world to discover what sustainability looks like to them and find out how they're contributing to a sustainable future. We will celebrate positive steps people are taking, no matter how small. Whether you're a hobbyist or a pro, you can bring sustainability into your practice. Join me as we take a deep dive into the environmental, social, and economic impacts with Threads of Sustainability. Welcome to the first episode of Threads of Sustainability. I wanted to flip the interviews this time. Normally, I will be interviewing other people, but this time I'm going to be interviewed by my son, Jasper, who's joined me today, because I wanted to be able to have a conversation with him about sustainability and what it looks like in quilting, fiber, and textile arts, and just have a little bit more of a conversation. So welcome, Jasper.
Thanks for having me in our own home.
In our living room.
First time I've ever interviewed somebody other than in high school, I think. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, what is your podcast going to be about?
So we've talked a lot about it before because you're in my living room all the time. So we talk about it, and I have this background in textiles. I have a background in sustainability, and I'm kind of bringing them both together. And I've realized over the years where I've been talking to people about sustainability in quilting and textiles that a lot of people don't have any idea what that is. And one of the biggest parts about all of this is the overwhelm people feel around the idea of sustainability and that it's supposed to save the planet. There's these conversations that happen in the news and on social media where we're hearing about these obligations everybody has to do their part to save the planet. And there's only one planet, there's no planet B. And now we're starting to see stuff out of the Paris Accord and the Paris Agreement, the Kyoto Accord, and various other policies that are trying to make countries reduce their carbon footprint and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And all of that kind of stuff really kind of gets overwhelming. And when
overwhelmed already.
Right? And there's this eco fatigue that happens. And when you try to bring it into your own life, where it's your hobbies or your habits, your shopping, the things you do in your own home, it just feels ridiculous to think that you could make a difference to these big ideas. And I have this idea that it's actually not that hard, that every person has the ability to do small actions, and those small actions have ripple effects and create big waves of change. That's kind of my hope, and that's the way that I deal with that eco-overwhelm that happens. It's like, okay, all I can do is my own thing. I can't change the world. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just trying to change my own world. And so I want to share stories with people around the world that are also trying to change the world. And they do it from their own world. Does that make sense?
I think so. If you could condense it into one or two sentences, what would you say?
What would I say? So I would say that this is a podcast that is looking to explore what sustainability looks like in the quilting, fiber, and textile arts.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, not bad, right? And show people how they can make small changes that can actually make a difference to their own well-being within the world that we have right now. We want to be good stewards of this world, right? And to do that, sometimes you just don't know what actions you can take. And quilting, fiber arts, textile arts is a very niche thing, but the fiber and textile world is actually an enormous impact on the planet in terms of the environment. 50% of our clothing is made out of cotton. Everybody wears clothing. I can't even tell you the amount of waste textiles that end up in landfills and go nowhere. The toxins that come off of the processes for creating those products in the first place, the amount of water that's used, the amount of pesticides and herbicides, the chemicals and dyes that go into the textiles. It is a huge impact on our environment, and there's also a social impact. Most of the countries where textiles are made are developing countries. And so the ethical employment of those people doesn't exist. And so there's social impacts. And so there's 3 pillars to sustainability, right?
Okay.
The 3 pillars to sustainability. And sustainability, so we should take a look at that first. Let's unpack sustainability. It's the ability for the present people on the planet to have access to safe and healthy resources without impacting future generations.
Yeah, that's the important part.
That's the important part, is that they shouldn't be impacting those future generations. And it stands on 3 pillars. There's an economic, social, and environmental component to it all. So it's not just about the environment. It's not just about having materials and products and resources management. That's definitely like a huge part of it all. But it's also making sure that the people that are involved and the animals that are involved, the social impact is not negative. And the economic impact, we can't just stop buying certain materials because there's an entire industry that employs millions of people. So those social impacts are huge. And not only that, economically, we're dealing with trades and various other moving parts in the economic side of things so yeah, it's not just about the environmental and social part. The economics is also something really important to consider. And there's lots of different ideas right now about how we should be addressing economics, not just through fair trade, but there's also these other ideas like circular economies and various other things, upcycling and recycling, reusing. Those are all really important parts of the economics of it. And there's all kinds of people out there doing really interesting things with all of this. And those are the people I want to talk to. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to share with people so that they can know that when they're making donations and they're actually helping out other community projects, that those social impacts and those social changes that they're doing, even through quilting, like donation quilts, those are really, really important parts of the whole idea behind sustainability. So I'm wanting to give people the ideas and opportunities to do some stuff in their own world, in their own space, in their own communities.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I was trying to say before, is that I think a big part of this for you is building a community around this idea, essentially.
Yeah, I want to find my group of people. And I want to connect with people who think this way and want to make these kinds of changes and want to have an impact on their world and their community in small ways, like through this fiber arts, through their love of fiber arts and quilting and textiles. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of other podcasts out there that already address sustainability in textiles through clothing. Those podcasts really, there's a lot of them out there and they exist, but I haven't seen a lot around the quilting side of things. I've heard the occasional episode from different bigger podcasts, but not dedicated to this idea, and really gets to dig in, have some of the technical information, have some of the interesting projects, have some of the art, have some of the products and manufacturing, kind of covering like a broader spectrum but a deep dive into it all.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people are... Oh, the cat's at the door.
Kitty cat.
I think that a lot of people are really genuinely interested in ways to change and be more sustainable in their daily lives. But obviously there's no handbook, and you're not setting out to create one here. But I guess just normalizing being sustainably thoughtful in your daily lives and showing that it's something that you can actually achieve through small actions. And everybody says, I was hearing you say that too. Do it like you can make changes through small actions and stuff. But it's really true if you pay attention to everything. Like, you can't necessarily change what the packaging of the things that you need to buy at the grocery store are. But if you start noticing what the packaging is made of, and you start talking to people about it, and maybe some of those people that you're talking about have been thinking about it as well and have thought about alternative ways, and now both of you are talking about this alternative way to package products, and you both think it's a really good idea, and you're both going to go out and tell other people about it. Not everybody's interested in product packaging, but I would argue that a lot of people actually are.
I think so too.
My point is that there's other avenues with that same concept that are more interesting to the average person.
Yeah, well, and more relatable.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is really specific. This is really talking about it from the quilting and textiles lens. And I think that that's okay. And I think that's part of the whole ripple effect too, though, is that if you start thinking about it in one part of your life, you do start addressing it in other parts of your life.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the handbook part of it, is if you've got a formula on how to address textiles and quilting, you can potentially apply that formula to other problems. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think you're totally right about that.
Like the way, like, you're gonna save the world if you can improve the sustainability of the global textile industry. That sets an example for
and it's
everybody
already
else.
It's already happening.
It is
right?
already happening.
It is already happening. There are already people out there.
If you can draw attention to that, and you can help accelerate, catalyze that process.
It's that wave that comes from those ripples, right? The more people that are starting to think about it and hear about it, I have to believe that there is the opportunity to make a difference. And I think that's what's really driving me to want to talk to different people and talk about these stories and find out the stories and connections.
Well, we want to make other people believe that it's possible.
Totally.
If we don't believe that it's possible, then we're not going to try.
I guess it's true. And so we're showing examples of possibilities. That's what I'll be doing, is showing you those examples.
Yeah, and people who are trying, not everybody can be perfect, and that's, I guess, one of the biggest things that, as a creative person or somebody that cares about the environment, or however you want to label it, that's one of the most important things.
But yeah, I think that's one of the other things about all of this is, to me, it's not all or nothing. Like, nobody has to do all of it.
That's what I was trying to say.
You know, it doesn't have to be everything. We're just trying to figure out ways to be able to introduce it into our own lives and make those changes become cumulative. But it doesn't have to be everything all at once. Like, I'm not asking everybody to stop buying fabric, although, you know, overconsumption is a big, huge problem that needs to be addressed at some point in our lives. And, you know, probably wouldn't hurt to upcycle and recycle instead of buying new fabrics. But if you're going to buy new fabrics, then maybe let's start learning how to identify what sustainable fabrics look like.
Yeah.
And maybe let's start having tools and products that are made from sustainable materials or are recyclable. And maybe let's start pushing governments and recycling companies to actually recycle the things they're supposed to be recycling. And, you know, there's all kinds of problems with all of these changes. There are problems and roadblocks, but there's also paths forward.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we need to normalize. Not getting caught up on those roadblocks of saying, I want to do this, but the only way that I can do it by doing it toxically or whatever. And I guess giving yourself the permission to say that you are somebody that is environmentally sustainable or trying to promote sustainability or trying to be sustainable, or in whatever way you want to say that. I feel like a lot of people have sort of an imposter syndrome thing.
Absolutely.
And that they don't want to label themselves as that for fear of being ridiculed for not being 100% and not doing it all the way.
Yeah.
And then that discourages people from even trying at all, because they're like, well, if I can't meet those standards, then I might as well do it as cheap as possible so I can make the best amount of profit, or whatever. Like whatever grant programs and stuff are out there are probably good in some cases, and government incentives and all that kind of stuff are probably good in some cases. But I feel like at this point, the concept is unattainable. It's been it's huge. It's been framed as an unattainable concept.
But that's sort of what the point I was making earlier when we were talking, is that the idea of sustainability, it becomes this giant global responsibility, and it feels too big.
Well, and then it comes onto the shoulders of every individual too.
Yeah,
that has a brain enough to think about changing it.
And we're supposed to somehow change and save the planet, and that's a big job. We need to, I think, reduce the mystery of what that is, for one thing.
Of what making small changes and doing those things actually looks like.
I've been finding people all over social media that are diving into different things, like doing natural dyeing and using botanicals for dyeing for their fabrics, and using organic fabrics. And I'm talking to one woman who is actually using growing flax and making her own linen.
That's awesome.
And
that's like the most sustainable you can be,
right?
And depending on how her growing practice is.
Yeah, I haven't talked to her yet, so I don't know.
Guess we'll find out.
And then there's other people who are representing in their artwork endangered species, so bringing light to those species that are struggling and giving them a bit of a voice. And other people who are doing donation projects for vulnerable communities or various other causes that are really important to them that they want to support. And there's other people doing organic fabrics and selling organic fabrics, and there's just so many different interesting people.
I mean, I love all of that stuff. And aside from that, all of those people are probably going to have stuff to teach us about everyday kind of practices that you wouldn't think about. Maybe there's a way to load the washing machine that is more efficient and less environmentally harmful that we don't know about.
Maybe I should be asking them those questions.
Right? Like
they can teach us different things that we can, that aren't necessarily about textiles, but maybe different habits.
Like washing textiles, that is about textiles.
Yeah.
Like managing your textiles and being more sustainable about having textiles in your life and what to do with them afterwards, like not necessarily how to upcycle them, but where's the best place to take,
maybe recycling them.
Where's the best place to take it locally? And if there isn't a good place to take it locally, how can people look at setting that up?
What kind of programs can we start introducing?
And look at it from that social aspect as well, like asking people how they feel about their interaction with textiles in everyday life and how they think it could be changed. Just opening up that forum for conversation about those things is going to bring to light so much information that people think about on their own, but don't necessarily put into practice or talk to other people about, because it's just, it would be too much effort, or then a bunch of people would have to do it to make that work, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I feel like there's a lot of people that think those big ideas that are like, man, if we just all did this, then it would totally solve that problem. And maybe there's some in between ground that you can find with those big ideas that will actually come down to the small concepts to help change.
So those are the things that I want to talk about on this podcast. Those are the things that I want to explore and want to share with people, and find ways to create a community that is interested in learning about sustainability, in starting sustainability, and continuing their journey in sustainability, whatever it might be, whatever stage they're at.
Can't start sustainability without continuing it,
I guess. I mean, if they're already doing it, maybe they want to do more. Maybe they want to do something different. Maybe there's ideas that they're going to get that they hadn't thought about before. And if nothing else, then maybe they're just going to learn about people who are doing it, and they can go out and support them. And, you know, that's also an awesome thing to do.
Yeah, just cheer each other on.
Yeah.
Sustain.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing to do. Yeah. Thanks for talking with me about it.
No problem. Yeah.
Thanks for joining me for the first episode of Threads of Sustainability. I want to take this minute to thank my son, Jasper Nault, for hanging out with me and having conversation after conversation about sustainability and about our current culture and the current state of our world. We have these kinds of conversations on a daily basis, and it's pretty exciting to be able to include him in this project. He is an artist in his own right. You can see him on Instagram at Jasper_Nault. That's JASPER_NAULT. I'll put that into the show notes. He's exploring what he's going to be doing with art. He's an amazing painter, but he does woodworking as well. And he's doing a little bit of music and a little bit of this and that. He's a young guy who's figuring out what he wants to do. I really appreciate you tuning into this show, and I look forward to talking to you more in the future. If you're interested in a community that engages with sustainability in quilting and textiles, you can join the Learning Hub at BridgetO'Flaherty.com. There you'll find a membership, online workshops, supplies, and resources for sustainability. You can also book me to speak with your group. You can find me on social media at The Sustainable Quilter. Thanks for joining me, and I'm so excited to share this journey with you.